Hey everyone, welcome to my channel Soul Vibes. It is Celine Lizette here, and I just want to thank you for clicking and viewing this video. I am a new YouTube content creator, so any positive feedback and support for my channel is really, really appreciated. So if you can, please go like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will love you guys so, so much. Today, I want to do my video on my life-changing, completely like spiritually healing, euphoric, peaceful, mushrooms trip that I recently had. I apologize in advance because I am talking low right now, and I hope that you guys can hear me well. I live with my parents now, so I just don't want them to hear my content, obviously. So yeah, and I don't know if you've seen my videos, but I have talked about how I'm on a spiritual journey, which really contributes to where my state of mind was before doing this trip, and I think that really helped or contributed to the whole spiritual healing experience that I had. So I'll talk a little bit about that throughout the video. But anyway, so yeah, I felt compelled recently to quit my job back in June because of, the spiritual journey that I've been on. And yeah, it's just been really, really great. I'll probably do an update video in the near future since, I've been living at my parents since. But that is why I'm living at my parents now. And so, yeah, I'm going to be talking kind of low. So, I just want to do this video so you guys can hear about my experience, what happened, just talk about the spiritual healing itself, some of the answers that I got from my, I don't know, spiritual family or from the other side, I want to say, or, maybe it was my highest self. I really don't know. But I'll give you guys all the good details and then also talk about how I transitioned from a very negative state of mind to getting to the calmer waters, I want to say, of that peaceful euphoric state that I got to, because it was pretty scary in the beginning, not gonna lie. That's pretty much the whole point of this video. It is definitely not me recommending or encouraging that you guys do magic mushrooms at any point in time. It is a very, very powerful drug. It's a psychedelic, so I trust that if you're watching this, you're an adult and you can make your own wise decisions on whether or not you would do something like that. Um, and if you do, please just know, research, do know the risks and precautions that would come, are possible outcomes of doing the drugs. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say about that. But again, just letting you guys know my experience and what I did to help myself out and how it turned out to be such a beautiful, if not, the most beautiful night of my life. Okay, so the first part that I want to talk about is the first and only experience that I had with magic mushrooms before this. And that was actually back in January of this year. I was with my friend and we were also drinking alcohol. We went to a like pop-up art exhibit in LA. Basically, I felt no different than when I was high off of like marijuana and, or if like you're crossfaded and drinking with it. That's pretty much how I felt. And there was the negative things that I remember were that there was times where I felt like I couldn't really breathe for some reason. Like it was kind of hard to breathe. Like if you had eaten a big meal before, like and when you feel kind of like you can't breathe, that's how I felt at one point. And my friend was like, "That's weird." So I don't know if that was because of the alcohol or what, but it was weird. And then the other thing was that, oh yeah, so the main part that I got from that was that I wanted to be alone because there was one point when we were looking at like art and we were sitting on bean bags and I remember like just wanting to go deep. Like I don't know if it was because the art was kind of dark blue. Actually, no, it was changing colors and I didn't even get any visual trip whatsoever. Like it was kind of pretty, but it wasn't like trippy at all. And then I just remember thinking like, oh, like I wanna go deep. And so I knew I couldn't because I didn't feel comfortable. One, because we were at a public setting, but there was also these two guys trying to talk to us. And I remember thinking like, you're kind of ruining my trip here. And then also my friend, she's very social and I used to be very social and outgoing too. And I still am a little bit, but since my spiritual awakening and spiritual journey, I've become a lot more introverted and not like, a bitch in any way, but just like I extend the energy that's extended to me. But at that time, I would say I was much less healed. So I was kind of like, like I don't care to talk to anyone. Me and my friend gave me the nickname Ice Queen that very day. She was like, "You totally are an Ice Queen." Yeah, so I remember like I was just very cold to them at that time. And then, and she was being very warm. So I was kind of annoyed by that. But even when they stopped talking to us, like I remember thinking like, man, I kind of wish I was alone because I wouldn't feel comfortable opening up, like I don't know how, at that time, I didn't know how deep I was going to go, but I just remember thinking, like, I don't know where this is going to take me, and I don't want to be around someone else when, like, I didn't want, like, basically, my worst fear was that I was going to end up crying, and, I didn't want to be around someone else. Like, I just don't feel comfortable crying in front of other people. So, yeah, that's what I remember thinking. The other part of the background that I want to give is really the self healing and self love work that I've been doing, which, I've talked about in other videos, and I'll probably talk about it in future videos. But it's really, really important that I mention this part just because it highlights the frame of mind that I was in before doing this trip, or before having this trip. And that's essential because it really, like, I think it plays a major part in why my trip was so healing and spiritual, because that's what I intended. That's really what I wanted from it. And yeah, if you, haven't done the work, then there's a few different things that can come from it. So one is that, if you haven't done the work and you haven't really, like, assessed yourself, done some shadow work, which I've mentioned in other videos, but basically, like, examined the negative things that are going on within, the toxic behaviors that we all have, like insecurities, things like that, like, all that work kind of needs to at least be acknowledged if it hasn't even, been figured out yet. But if you haven't even thought about it, or if you're in the state where you're trying to avoid it, let me say that, if you're at that point where you're still not ready to examine that stuff, then this, may not be the right state or the right stage for you to do this type of, or to have this type of experience just yet, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to come up. And see, for me, it was very, very deep. But like I said, I've already done a lot of the self work. In fact, I wanted to go deeper than what I can do, like, when I'm in a sober and, first dimension state of mind. Like, I wanted to go really deep, and I wanted to go, deep within my emotions and my thoughts, like subconscious level. So I've done some of that work in hypnotherapy. And like I said, that's just really important before you go into this. At least be ready to acknowledge some ugly stuff that may come up. Like, if you're not willing to, like, cry and to go there, then maybe, I don't know, maybe this isn't the right time for you to do this type of thing. But, if you are willing to have that experience, then it can be like, the more open and the more vulnerable you are, the more you want that, the better and more beautiful the experience can be. Because, you can heal a lot. And that's pretty much how I did it. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. The other thing was that, listen to your intuition. Like, for me, like I said, I didn't like the first time. I, like, 9 out of 10 times when I don't like something and there's other alternatives such as marijuana, drinking, like, other stuff, I would not choose to do shrooms again. But randomly, like, months later, I was thinking, after, like, hypnotherapy sessions, I was like, like, something just told me I wanted to try it again. And not only did I want to try it just for the sake of trying it, but I was like, I want to try it by myself, because I remember how I was feeling that first time, which was that, it was going to take me to a deep place. And I'm a very curious person. And I'm also, trying to just, like, get over, trying to fully do shadow work, get over all my triggers, figure out my answers to my questions and stuff. And yeah, so I listened to my intuition 100%. So I went and picked up my shrooms from my friend at, like, around 10 a.m. And, it was the same friend that I had done the shrooms with the first time. So I leave, I go about my day, and pretty much I don't take them until 7:45 p.m. at night, when it was already starting to, I apologize that I'm so freaking itchy. Anyways, so I don't take them until 7:45, when the sun is already, like, setting. And then, I didn't feel anything for a whole hour. So in that time, oh, and then before I took them, I was in a really, really good mood because I had just filmed my last video, which was my rhinoplasty video. If you want to go check it out. And yeah, I felt really accomplished. I just felt like, on top of the world. So then, positive vibes, which is a good way to start off before you're taking the shrooms. And then, yeah, I took them, I drank them with some orange juice. I didn't know that, like, at the time, citrus and anything citrusy enhances your, from what I've been told, enhances your trip. So, yeah, I didn't know that at the time, and drank it with orange juice, not knowing. And I had also taken it on an empty stomach. And after that, in the time in between when I had taken it and then when I started tripping around, like, 9 p.m., I had set up my room in the meantime to try to get me feeling, like, centered and to get me to that euphoric space. And this part is important because It's exactly what my euphoria is. And for me, I found out what that is through my hypnotherapy again. But like basically, it goes back to like childhood feelings and memories that I have that make me feel like really happy, and just memories that I associate with like myself, my soul. I don't know how to explain that, but like basically I think it has to do with who I am at a soul level, and therapy, that's pretty much what I've been doing. It's like trying to find out my truth, my life purpose, and all that. And this part, when we're younger, our souls still remember who they are. And as we get older, we start forgetting who we are and start, becoming programmed with how society wants us to be. And, then that's when our belief systems start getting built, right? And our soul loses memory, like, of who we are. So my whole, with hypnotherapy, I'm trying to remember who I am at a soul level. And I know it sounds weird, especially if you guys aren't spiritual. You guys are like, what the fuck is she talking about? But something that resonates with me at a soul level, which reminds me, brings me back to my childhood memories, is glow in the dark. And I've learned, like, I got that insight from, I don't know, I can't explain it. Maybe I won't go into that now. So I got that insight that glow in the dark is really important to me. And it's something that makes me feel like it's part of like my euphoric, peaceful state. And so I really wanted to go for that theme in my room. So I put a pink Himalayan salt lamp in the corner, and then I turn off the lights. I also, like, if I could have, I would have found like one of the, like, they're like rotating balls that have like different colors on them. And then when you turn, like, you plug it in, it like rotates on its own, and then it looks really cool. So I wanted one of those, but obviously those are from like the 2000s or whatever. So I don't have any more of those. I used to have a bunch when I was younger. Again, equates to my past. So had that, and or I wanted that. And then the other thing was, oh, I have a butterfly on my wall, which is the monarch butterfly. Again, found out that that also really relates to me at a soul level from childhood, because I had, my sister had a decorated room when she was younger, and I was obsessed with it. But it was monarch butterflies, like the ones that are orange with black and stuff like that. And yeah, it goes again with the theme of like glow in the dark, and then contrasting colors between black and like brighter colors. Like all of that has deep meaning to me. I know it sounds like nothing here, but like it really, really does. So anyway, so I had that on my wall. And then the other thing is like just how my room is set up. I didn't have this tapestry yet, but I did have my sunset beach portrait in the back, or canvas. And I really, really enjoyed that once I was already in that, like, peak euphoric state with the trip. So I was really glad that I had that. And yeah, and then I have lavender sheets. So like these colors all really, really helped when I was already in the good place. But anyways, so to start off though, I had my light off, like I said, which was an initial mistake. And the other mistake that I made was having a meditation that I put on my TV, which normally, like, meditation is fine and stuff, but I chose one that had like really deep tones, and it was just like like low. And I think it was like third eye like activation or something that was just way too deep and low to start me off with, like that's something that I could have done maybe later and seen how it gone. But either way, I was like, at one point it was really, really freaky. So yeah, the space is key. That's what allowed me to feel centered. And again, like the childhood, which it'll make more sense as I go on, but anyways, so that's how my space was set up. And that's, what I wanted to get to, like that cool place where you're just free, and like your soul feels like how it used to when you were little, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's how I set up my room. In that time, I kind of just laid down on my bed waiting to see if anything hit. And then finally, when I started feeling it, that's when shit hit the fan, basically. Because, like, okay, so that meditation was on, and I was texting my friend at the same time. And I remember, like, he was like, I had barely told him that I was doing the trip by myself in my room. And then there was another person too that I told, actually my ex, who I'm like still kind of friends with. And then they both were just being little negative Nancy's, and they're like, oh my God, like, why are you doing it by yourself? Like, just giving me negative vibes when I didn't need to hear that, especially as I'm starting to trip and I'm not liking, at this point, I'm not liking how I feel. Like, that was the beginning of my trip. And then because of the meditation in the background, it was starting to like freak me out. And physically, what I felt was just like, it was like, it went from 0 to like 100, because all of a sudden I felt like my ears were starting to pop. It's like almost like it was breaking down barriers at this point, like the physical barriers. So my ears were kind of starting to pop. Another feeling that I felt was like if you ever have woken yourself up when you're sleeping from like either kicking your leg or like a jolt, or like if you dream that you're falling and you're kind of like, ugh, like that's how I felt for a second. And I don't know if it was because I was falling asleep when I was listening to the meditation, um, but yeah, so then like I felt that and I was like, ooh, like I don't know why I'm feeling this. And then I started getting into my head a little bit, like, oh, like, I'm doing this by myself and then I don't like how I feel. So then I was like, okay, you know what? Like I need to turn off this meditation. So I turned it off, turned on the light immediately because I was in the dark, like I said, and I was like, oh my God, like this is just way too dark and scary. So I turned on my light, turn on, not I turn off the meditation and put on, I think, regular TV. So then at that point, I'm kind of like, ooh, like I'm starting to sweat. I sweat a lot, but yet I had chills at the same time. Like I did not like how I felt at all. And I called my best friend, and she really like helped me through. Well, not in the beginning, but because I had told her, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm tripping. She's like, where are you tripping in? I was like, my room. She was like, oh my God, and it's nighttime. You're in your room, and I was like, great. Like this is not what I need to hear when I'm, going through the bad part of a trip. And she was like, no, no, like you're fine. It'll be fine. Like just try to listen to some meditation. And at this point I'm freaking out. I was like, I already was listening to meditation, like I like it's making it bad, like I just want this to be over. How do I get out of this? Do I eat something? And she was like, no, like at this point, if you're not liking the trip, like you're just gonna have to write it out. But do something like maybe watch a movie. And then she was like, maybe you should go wash your face or like take a hot bath, because again, I had chills, I was cold, but I was sweating profusely at the same time. It's so weird. So yeah, so she was trying to help me out, and then I was like, okay, like it's fine. So then at that point I knew it was like kind of on my own, and I was like, fuck, like this was a terrible idea. And I just physically, it would go in waves, and it was very much like I physically felt like I was a boat going up on like highways and then really low, like it was stormy. I know it sounds stupid, but anyways, so that's how I was feeling. And then I would be like 1 second I was like, okay, you know what, like I'm fine, I can get over this, I'm good, like get it together. And the next second I would be like, oh my God, like I hate how I feel, is this ever gonna go away? I think that's the scariest part actually, is like thinking like, oh my God, like did I just fuck up my brain? Did like am I ever gonna go back to being sober? Like I just want this feeling to end. That's how I remember feeling, and that's the part that I hate the most, where I'm like, okay, please, like don't let my brain stay permanently like this. So that's like the paranoia that I go through. So then after that, I'm chilling, and then my sister's out at this point with her friends, and so I call her, and because I knew she was gonna come home, and I was like, hey, like I'm tripping, I don't like it. And I was like, can you like stop? I don't know why I thought to ask her this, but I was like, can you stop and get like my favorite brownies and bring them home? Like I would really, really appreciate it. And I like the little sugar cube brownie. I don't know if you know the powdered ones, but they're like little squares. Like I'm obsessed with those. So she was like, okay, yeah, I'll stop and get you some. So in the meantime, I was actually starving because I hadn't eaten like until like way, way before I had taken the shrooms. So I think that's also why, when they hit me, it was just a lot of different things. I had citrus with it, empty stomach, and I took a shitload of shrooms. So then I go downstairs, and I remember my parents are watching TV, and I was like, oh my God, like this is when the paranoia was freaking in. Like if they had seen me, it would have just been like a person with huge eyes staring at a wall, because all of this conversation was going on in my head, but I like didn't say a word. And I was like, okay, like just get your food. Like if they talk to you, talk to them like normal. I don't know if I would have been able to be honest. Probably not. They would have known something's up, because I'm also like shaky at this point. So then my dumbass gets freaking fruit that's like cut up, and I like, this was when I didn't know that citrus like enhanced it. So I get fruit and I get popcorn, because I love popcorn. And so I bring it up, and I remember I got past them, they didn't ask me anything, they didn't even see me actually. So right as I have like my food in my hand, then my sister walks in, and she was on the phone, and she was like, oh my God, like she was talking to her friend, and we go upstairs, and she was like, Celine's tripping right now, like blah blah blah. So she's in her room talking on the phone, I'm in my room like eating. And then when she's done talking on the phone, she comes over, she brings the brownies, and I'm texting my friend, the one that was helping me out, and I told her that I was eating like citrus fruit, and she was like, oh my God, like don't eat citrus, that makes it worse, like that's gonna make you trip even more. And then I was like, oh, like of course, that's what I would be eating right now. So yeah, not only did I have orange juice, but I had fruit on top of it. Oh, and then also she had sent me a meditation at this point. And her meditation, I remember looking at it and I was kind of like, okay, like, no, I'm not doing a meditation again. So I didn't really like pay attention to it at first. Okay, so then my sister comes into my room and she has the brownies. And I remember, like, I was eating. She's like, how are you feeling? And I honestly was like just rocking back and forth, telling her how awful I felt. I remember saying, like, I never want to do this again. I really just hope that this ends. Like, it was constant, like, I don't know, like a roller coaster just going up and down with my how bad I was feeling. And then I'd be like calm for a second, back and forth. And then she was like, okay, like, what should I do? Should we put on a movie? And I remember, like, at that point, the trip, it was just getting higher and higher. So I was staring at her and I was like, I wanted to communicate what I was thinking. And like, I couldn't. I was just so impaired at that point where I'm like, okay, like, I can't even communicate really anymore. So I was like, yeah, let's, like, maybe I should watch a movie. So then we tried putting on a movie and we actually tried putting on one of my favorite movies, or it's like one of our, like, childhood favorite movies, but it's really stupid. It's the Brady Bunch, a very Brady sequel. It's a really funny but stupid movie. You guys should go watch it. So we put that on, and the first scene is like a green naturey background, like somewhere in Hawaii. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, green, like it looks so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, now I understand why people say you need to be in nature. So within like 5 minutes of the movie, I tell her, like, okay, you need to go because I need to be alone. Like I need to just put on nature. I can't pay attention to a movie. Like, and she was like, okay, like I'll leave. So she leaves the brownies and then she goes back to her room. And then at this point, I have my Google Chromecast, so I was like, let me try to cast like a picture of nature. And I was trying so hard and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Like I mean, I was impaired, so my technology use, like all of it, I couldn't figure out how to use it at that point. So what I did instead was use one of the meditations that my friend sent me because it had an orange like lotus looking thing and it was called Dreamscape. I'll link it below because this was the turning point of my trip. Like, no joke, if I hadn't had this meditation, I don't know if it would have turned into something healing. Like, I think this was the main thing aside from all the other things that I mentioned, like the tips and stuff that helped. This part was, it's literally called Deep Healing Transformation, Positive Transformation, and it's by Dreamscape. And so yeah, I'll link it below. But anyways, so that's what she had sent me. And I remember, well, she had sent me a few, but that one was the most like visually appealing to me because it was bright orange. And at this point, I am already seeing like visually trippy things, obviously from the nature. Like not only did it look beautiful, but it was kind of like glittery. And then the butterfly on my wall also started looking glittery. So it was like, okay, at least there was some prettiness to the trip at this point. And it went from being like super scary to some prettiness being there, but I was still very like, ooh, like, still partly in the dark deep waters. So then after I put on, the only thing that I knew how to put on at that point was what she sent me because it opened YouTube and then it was easy to just press the little square and cast it to my TV. So that's what I did. Literally within 2 minutes of like hearing this meditation, I somehow surrender. I laid on my bed and then I turned on my side and I was like, okay, like, I was just starting to calm down. And then all of a sudden I remember thinking like, okay, and this is when the visuals were picking up too. So I'm looking at the corner of my room and I remember I start seeing like, not blurry, but like I don't know what's the like hazy and fuzzy. And then I remember I was like, oh, like I'm scared, but I wasn't feeling the ugly feelings anymore. I was just kind of scared. And I remember like my thoughts were saying like, oh, I'm scared. I don't like this. Kind of like my inner child was coming out and it was like, oh, like I don't like this. And then that's when I heard like other voices, but like they weren't concrete voices. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like other thoughts that weren't my own because out of nowhere I hear like you're not alone, like we're here to help you, don't be scared. And then I was like, what? Like, and then it's like instantly like I surrendered. And that's when the whole like turning point of my experience happened and I surrendered. Like that's the only way I can describe it. So I'm laying on my side and I'm also wearing a big jacket that my aunt gave me, like this big Nike jacket that she gave me for my birthday. It was extremely cozy, even though I was like sweating, like that part went away. And I just remember like it was perfect because it was like a huge blanket over me and I felt really comforted. I started feeling safe. And that's what led me to being able to surrender. And so within like 2 minutes, like I said, when I actually surrendered, I just started crying. Like I felt like I was floating all of a sudden, like on a cloud. Like something took me away on this cloud. And because of that feeling, it's like, okay, I was going to a safe place. And from the voices that I heard, that made me feel safe because, they told me, like, you're safe. Yeah, I was able to start crying. And I just cried, like, at a deep level. Like, I didn't know why I was crying because I wasn't sad about anything. More like I was scared. But then, like, it went deeper than that. I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't understand what's happening. And then they're like, it's okay, like, you're safe. And then after that, I start crying even deeper. And so this part is where it gets hazy because I can only remember like certain things. But what I remember was all of a sudden it's like my inner self takes over and I'm like angry and sad. And I'm like, why did you leave me here? Like, this is me talking to my spiritual family at this point. And I'm on that cloud that I told you that I'm feeling like, they took me on and I floated away. And the visuals that I'm seeing, because my eyes are closed at this point, but the visuals I'm seeing are white, like angel wings. And I don't know if you know where I got that image from, but that's what I was picturing. And then I was crying and I asked them, why did you leave me here? Like, why is my soul here? I'm so like I was angry and I was like, this place is so ugly. And like this is the part that like it still makes me emotional thinking about it. But it was like, why did you leave me here on this ugly planet? Like there's so much pain, there's so much hurt, there's so much like just darkness. And I like was crying about it. And they were just, it's like I was venting to them. And then they were like just patting me on the back. Like that's what it felt like. And I was like, how could you leave me here? And I think that comes from, like shadow work that I've done where it's like I sometimes feel so alone, like not like a lonely, like I have my friends and my family and stuff, but at the time I wasn't appreciating it. And this trip really helped me appreciate them so much more because what they told me in response to that was they were like, we know you've been through a lot, like you've been through a lot. And they were just comforting me. And then they were telling me like it's okay that I'm not alone, that they've always been there. And then all of a sudden they told me like you have everything you need. And then they showed me like images just flashed in my mind of my mom, of my sister, of my friend Danielle, who sent me the meditation that was kind of walking me through trying to get me to a better place. Like they showed me those pictures and they were like, you have everything you need here on this earth. What happened in the surrendering and healing was that they brought me to my, it was like an onion. Like in order to get to the good place, I had to peel the layers of pain and suffering and things that like have been weighing me down. They had to peel that stuff away. And so it started with the deepest layer. And the deepest layer was why am I here on this earth? Like, why did you guys leave me here? Because I truly believe from the work that I've done, from the hypnotherapy, my hypnotherapist says the same thing and research, like our souls are here for a purpose. And we forget, like I was saying earlier, we forget who we are and what our purpose is. And that's the whole point of life, is like to figure that out, to accomplish what we were meant to be, or to accomplish while we're here on this earth. Sorry, I got cut off by my sister who walked in, but basically what I was saying was, yeah, they told me that I had everything that I need and that I've been through a lot and it's okay, that I was feeling alone, but they're here for me. And that was the first layer, pretty much. So better describe of how to better describe how my healing process went, it was like crying for 2 hours straight, but not just directly crying. It was crying and then I would stop and they would send me healing energy. And then I was like, okay, next layer, cry. And the crying, because it was such deep pain that I didn't even know I had in me. And that's what I'm saying when I went deep and like it was just subconscious feelings that have been pent up in my heart that I haven't been able to cry about. Like, yeah, when I cry on the surface level, and even, there's times where I go a little bit deeper and cry about things that I know are deep within me, like, I don't know, about insecurities or just like really hard times and things that I've overcome. But this was at a soul level pain that I've been holding on to. So that was the first layer, was, at a soul level, why the hell am I on this earth? Like, I felt abandoned and I was angry with my soul family. So they sent me healing energy, showed me that I had what I needed. The second layer of pain that really weighed on me, and I'm trying to explain this in the cleanest way, like the most, like, I don't know, in order way that I can that would make sense in a story. But it was kind of like all over the place when it's happening. But this is just the best way I can, describe it to you guys. So the second layer was having to do with my twin flame, or if you guys don't know what twin flame is, I don't know if I've talked about it in other videos. I don't think I have. But basically, it's someone that you have a soul connection with, that it's a very deep and intense connection. But you don't always end up with your twin flame. In fact, it's very rare that you end up with your twin flame from the research that I've done. And that's because if you guys do end up together, it's like it takes lifetimes. Again, your soul, I truly believe your soul has been on this earth, or like goes through many cycles. And at some point, it's like you and your twin flame will reunite, but it's very unrealistic that it'll be this lifetime, which is sad to say. I know it sucks, and trust me when I say I know it sucks, because that was one of the deepest layers that I'm still healing from today. But your twin flame is like your other half, and there's different theories on it, but what I take from it is like they're your mirroring half, so they will be opposite but equal to you. You guys have similar issues, like, and I mean equal and opposite in the issues that you have, like both deeply insecure, but the way that one person shows it will be opposite the other way, opposite from the other person and how they show it. And so, go research twin flames. It's crazy. And like I said, you'll most likely end up with your soulmate, or you should, because a soulmate is someone that it will be better for you, as long as, like, as far as marriage and, getting along. Like, you still have a deep connection, but it's a lot less turmoil. The twin flame, literally think about it, it's like flames. And you guys are just like, it's really, really high and then really, really low. So, and they are supposed to teach you how to love yourself. And a lot of the time it's hard, and, hardly ever, like I said, do you reunite. So anyways, sorry, that was a little spiel on twin flames. However, so I met my twin flame. I believe he's my twin flame. I feel like my intuition tells me he is my twin flame. Basically, he is someone that was part of one of the main reasons that I went through a spiritual awakening. And so, yeah, so he is tied to a lot of like my insecurity, why I mean, like I said, he triggered, what he triggered, me understanding that I didn't love myself. And we just went through a really, really rocky time. I'll say that, just say the least. Like, that is what we went through. So now I do love myself. Now I understand self-worth and stuff. But before I didn't, and it just sucks. I wish we could both, like grow together or continue growing together, and like, yeah, all that stuff. Anyhow, so that's something that weighs deep on my heart, and that was the second layer. And I remember, crying again for a long time, and then telling them, like they know what I've been through with him. And so they were just telling me how I need to like let him go, and I'm trying not to get emotional about this because it still weighs on my heart, but just that I need to let him go because I can't heal him. Like, they kept saying the thoughts that came in my head. It's like, Celine, like, he needs to heal, and he's not doing the work that he needs to do to heal. Like, I know that he has the potential to, but like, someone can easily choose to take the easy route and to stay comfortable and not to grow themselves as a person. And I feel like that's what he's doing. And they were telling me, like, you can't heal him, which is what I think I was trying to do for the longest time. Like, I can't change someone and what they want to do. That's a conscious choice that someone makes, not to grow. So I cannot wait around for him. And they were telling me that I need to let go because I can't heal him. And then, I was just crying it out, and I was like, okay, but like, with all the things that it's happened between us, like, maybe I should just call him now, let him know, like, maybe I can say goodbye, maybe I can tell him I love him, like, so at least he knows. And this is what I'm telling my spirit family, and the thing that they tell me is he already knows. It's like one shot. That's how I know it wasn't my own thoughts, because I would say what my thoughts are, like in my mind, and then all of a sudden a louder thought would come in and would be like just short, blank, to the point, and period, nothing more. And they were just like, he already knows, like you need to let go. And so it was like, oh, but let me just call him. So I literally tried calling him, didn't answer, and they just kept saying the same thing, like, Celine, like he already knows. And I'm like, okay, like gotta let that go. Cried it out. Then they send me healing energy. That's when I stopped crying. And it's like every time they send healing energy, I feel an acceptance. I feel a relief. That is the best way to describe it. A relief at a deep soul, heart level that I haven't felt in a long time. And so that's why I'm so grateful for this experience, because it was like the deep issues, like that I've said, that have been weighing on my heart, but I was able to actually get relief. And like I haven't been able to do that otherwise. Like I've scratched surface levels and even gone a little bit deeper with hypnotherapy, thank God, but like nothing that has healed me and gave me relief on that kind of level. So super grateful for that. So that was the second layer. And then the third layer was my grandma, because she's sick right now, and like there's been a lot of family drama because of it. And basically I was crying about that. I was like, oh my God, like if she dies, like I've never had someone really close to me die, like only pets and stuff, but even that I take really hard. And so when I think of like my grandma leaving us, like she played a huge part in my childhood, and like me and my sister were always over there, and pretty much spent a lot of our childhood days with my at my grandparents' house. And so I was like, oh my God, like if she goes, like how are we supposed to deal with like death? Like I can't deal with that. And I was crying that out, and they were like telling me like if she goes, like it's okay to feel pain, and it's okay to be hurt and be sad, but that her soul will just go to the next phase, whatever. But it's like they were like, she won't be there anymore, and you won't know where she's at, because I don't know, I don't know where we go after this. But they're like, but that we have her, like the universe has her, it's part of her plan. But I'm like, but it still sucks, so like so that's why I keep crying. I'm like, it still sucks that she's not going to be with us anymore. Like how is my family supposed to deal with that? And then at this point I start seeing flashes of like my mom, and like how she's crying, my aunts, like especially because there's been fighting between them. And like I just feel their pain. Like it's weird, because in that moment I know it sounds like something that would be obvious, but it's like all the fighting and bickering is complete bullshit. It's all at a surface level of what we see, but really underneath that, everybody is just scared of the same thing. And that's, my grandma leaving us, my grandma died, and everyone's in pain, and they don't want, nobody's showing it, but everybody's scared, and everybody would be devastated if that happened. So that's why I was like, how the hell are we supposed to deal with this? And then the relief or answer that they showed me and they sent me was the first thing, like I said, that it's okay to feel that pain. It's okay to be sad that she's not there, because that's a huge part of our lives. But the second part they said was that we have each other. And then that's when they showed me, like, I felt really good. Like it was sad, I was crying about it, but when they were sending me that relief energy, it's like my aunts and us are all intertwined. And like the jacket that I was wearing, I was like, oh my God, my aunt is here with me. Sorry, my camera just cut off. But what I was saying was, yeah, so like in that moment I realized how everything is connected and how everything is like intertwined. Like my aunt's jacket that she gave me, I'm like, oh my God, she's here with me. And then it was like I was feeling my family's energy, and I realized, and this is another belief that I have, but like souls choose the families that they're in. Like it's no coincidence that, my family is my family, my friends are my friends. Like we gravitate towards the people that we're supposed to gravitate towards, and then we're born into the families that we're supposed to be born into, because our souls like choose, like we chose before we came here, like that type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. In that moment, I don't know how I came to that realization, but I was like, oh my God, it's like we're all connected. We're all here for each other. And then that's exactly, what the answer that they gave me. Like, how are we supposed to deal with death? We come together. We are like, we are with each other. We have each other type of thing. After that, that was kind of like the last deep layer. Like I said, it went from the deepest layer to the more shallow layers of the onion, the healing onion. And I had to do a lot of work. I had to learn how to love myself and stuff. But something about not going into the dark and trying to be lost with the people that I've been around, because I think a lot of people are lost and they need to remember who they are. But it's hard in this world where money and sex and drugs and just not dealing with emotions and the heartache and all of that stuff that I've been talking about in the trip. Like, we don't want to deal with that, so we just, avoid, and or sometimes we avoid, and yeah, we end up losing ourselves. So yeah, they were showing me the clubs that I've been at, and they told me like, you are sweet and pure. And then when they were telling me this, it was like, it just made me cry. And like, even now I'm still getting emotional, but like, it's just hard to like accept that. It was really hard for me to accept that. And when they told me, I was actually able to accept it. I'm like, wow, like, I am sweet, I am pure, I am a good person. And like, part of that I wanted to change because of like my twin flame. Like, I thought that, maybe he wanted someone who isn't like that. Like, I know it sounds weird now that I'm talking about it out loud, but basically it had to do with me trying to change because I felt like I wasn't good enough for him. And recently, after my trip, it comes full circle because I ended up getting closure with him. I hadn't seen him all year long, which is major progress for me, I must say, because last year I saw him at least over like 20 times because it was very toxic. And that's how twin flame situations can get. It can easily get toxic. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight this because it's kind of important. But I don't know if this trip led to further, like, everything happens for a reason. I'll just say that. But I did see him a few weeks after this trip, and I told him what I found out in the trip, what they told me about him, how he needs to heal and stuff. And when I told him that, they told me that I was sweet and pure when they told me that, and he was like, you are. And then like hearing that from him kind of was like, wow, like, like, he agreed with them. And then he started telling me like how he doesn't feel good enough. And again, it goes back to like insecurities, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like me and him both felt the same way. Like, we mirror each other, but it's just like from opposite sides for different reasons. I don't know. It's crazy. But anyways, so yeah, they told me I was pure and sweet and good. And then, it made me feel really good. And then all of a sudden, not only did I feel relief, but that was the first time I felt true self-love. Like, I've obviously, from the work that I've been doing, like, there's instances where I feel it, but for once I felt completely like whole and just like self overflowing with self-love. Like, for the first time, my whole heart felt solid instead of like insecure and like, just, I don't know, like, it just felt amazing. And all of a sudden, like, that was the peak. That's when I started like getting to my euphoria because the crying was less. Like, I started thinking about the things that were triggering me, like, okay, like, let me think back to my grandma, let me think back to, the twin flame. And then it's like, I didn't need to cry, so I knew that I had released a lot of the pain. And then I started like thinking of other things. Oh, yeah, so after, I felt the self-love feeling, then I went on like Instagram and I was looking at things. I forgot why I went on that, but I started feeling good. After that point where I felt that self-love feeling, I started smiling like a lot, and I was like, oh my God, like, I am sweet, I am pure, like, I love who I am. Like, I've never really embraced fully who I am until that point. I've been like closer and closer, but that's what I'm saying when I feel like I just feel like it was the culmination of all the work that I had been doing. I got a taste of complete self-love and euphoria. So then at that point, I am loving how I feel, and then I decided to go on Instagram. I'm like talking to my friend who originally I told like, oh my God, I don't like this, and he was like one of the ones telling me, oh, you shouldn't be by yourself and stuff. But he was like, oh, thank God your trip turned around. Like, I was so worried for you. And then I was telling him what I felt, and I was like, oh my God, like, I just realized that everybody is lost. And that's when it went back to like, why are you trying to go into the darkness? These people are lost and they need help. But like, they also showed me that, yes, a lot of people are very lost to the point where I can't help those people. Like, the universe can help them. That's not a part of me to try to help them, to heal them, to, like, to help them pretty much, but the universe has them. However, it's like they showed me that there are people that I can help. There are people that I can help realize that they need healing as well. And like that's when I realized I'm like, oh my God, like I feel healed. I want other people to heal as well. Like I started, and that's when I told my friend when I was talking to him, I was like, bro, like I feel like so good right now. And I was telling him like what they were telling me, and he was like, who's they? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm just hearing these things right now. And then I was like, they're telling me that people are really just hurt. Like for the first time I saw past all the bullshit. Like, and that's what I'm saying. So I went on Instagram. Sorry, let me back up. So I went on Instagram and then I saw like these things that normally trigger me. Like sometimes like these girls that I know that I compare myself to or that I have like not bad blood with, but people from my past and stuff. People that like normally they make me feel some type of way, like I don't know, insecure, whatever. And so in that moment, all of that went away. All the insecurity that I ever felt from looking at these things like that make me compare myself went away. And I was like, oh my God, these women are beautiful. I saw it plain in sight. Like the answer was given to me that so many people are just hurt at a soul level from the different things from like love. They've been scarred from relationships, from death, from family members. Like there's so many things that hurt us in life at a soul level from when we're young, and we are not given the tools and the knowledge of how to properly cope with this stuff. Hence why, there's so much going on right now about how mental health should be a primary focus for us. And it really needs to be, because we're all, quite frankly, like so many people are fucked up and so many people are lost. And that's what like I that was the main answer that I got from it. And the people that I was picturing at the club, I'm like, so many of them are lost too, and they're all hurt. That's what equates to lost, is like their egos were hurt and they never knew how to properly cope with it. So we found other ways to cope with it. And now some of us have gone so far that like our ego has taken over. And so yeah, that's what I was like, oh my God, like I see it now. So then when I was texting my friend or telling him, I was like, bro, like I for once see like properly and clearly that everybody is just a hurt soul and everybody just needs love. And then he was like, oh, like what do you mean? I was like death. And he was like resonating with the death. And then I was like, and heartbreak. And he was like, oh no, like I got over heartbreak. And I was like, but did you really? And that's what I'm saying. Like people from their egos, they want to be like, oh yeah, like I'm over the heartbreak, but like yeah, maybe you have healed on a physical level, but at a soul level, like we get scarred from this shit, between feelings of insecurity if someone cheated, like it goes, the list goes on, and it can bring more and more pain depending on how deep those issues went. But it's like, yeah, we heal and we get over it at like maybe 1 to 3 layers, but what about layer like 4 through 10, and like, or 4 through 100? Shit, who knows how deep like certain people feel, we're all different. But anyways, so I told him that, and then he was like, oh my God, like he was like, you're making me want to hug you, right? Or he was like, you're making me want to cry right now. And he was out and he was like, I need to take another shot. And he was like, I'm just feeling like you're making me feel some type of way. And then we were like, air hug. So it was just like beautiful at that point. And then I was like, oh my God, like I want people to feel what I feel in this moment. That's what I remember thinking. It was complete euphoria after that. And I was like, I remember it, like that's why I say I felt healed, because I was thinking, I'm like, oh my God, like I now understand. I see that it's been the ego this whole time. Like, everyone's just trying to mask the pain and cope with it the best way we can. But, I like, it made me want to help others. And it helped me warm my heart back up to not try to be this cold person that I had been. And I kind of mentioned that earlier, like in the first trip I was an ice queen, and it helped me warm back up to not be this ice queen that my ego was allowing me to be, or was kind of getting me to be, after all the pain and suffering that I've been through. So after that, then the euphoria really took place. Like that's when I got to the place that reminded me of like my childhood, like because my pink Himalayan salt lamp was on. Oh, I forgot to mention, within like 5 minutes of crying, once I had surrendered, I had actually gotten up because I felt safe at that point. I had gotten up and I turned off my light because I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Like I know I can turn off the light now. I feel safe. And I locked my door just so like nobody came in. But anyway, so for the whole time that I was crying, pretty much my light was off, but my pink Himalayan salt lamp was on, and the meditation was on because this meditation that I was talking about was 9 hours, so it lasted the whole trip. But anyways, so at this point when I'm in the euphoric state, it was exactly what I wanted. My pink Himalayan salt lamp, like I was picturing in my mind that I was in this like forest and that there was like pink waters that I would like translucent waters that were just pink. I know it sounds crazy, but this was like where I was picturing myself. And I just felt like so free and light and like I was floating. I just felt the most inner peace that I've ever felt in my life. And I couldn't stop smiling. I couldn't stop laughing. And I remember they had told me to like to get off my phone and like to just enjoy it. Like it was my trip that I didn't need to tell anybody about it. And normally like I don't ever feel like that. So they were just like this is your time, this is your gift. Like they literally used the words gift and blessing. And they were like just telling me, to enjoy it, that I didn't need to tell anybody about it in that moment, that I could tell them later, but just to like, live in the euphoria that I was feeling. So yeah, then I just pretty much from there was bliss. It was like the reward that I got for going through all of that. And then, yeah, this is where images of like of childhood memories that I totally forgot about that made me feel really good. So I like one of the memories was when we used to have like family parties and we would go swimming at night, and then there was different colors in the pool. So again, like the whole dark with colored lights. And I remember just like looking up at the sky, and it was like, wind, and I remembered that. It was like deep in my subconscious, but that's how I started feeling in the trip. And I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. Just so safe and fun moments that I forgot, like innocent fun, like as a child. After that, like I said, I didn't go to sleep till around 3 to 4, but from, let's say, if I had started the peaceful euphoria state around 11, then that lasted till like strongly until like 1:32. And oh, and this is where the brownies came in. So like another tip would be to have like your favorite food around, because like if you're going to turn this into a healing session, or like a good thing to have during your healing session is just stuff that makes you feel like, I don't know, like you're doing self-care, self-love, things that you like. And so I had my brownies, literally ended up eating the whole box of brownies, but it just made it that much better. And I remember like, I know that's not healthy, but I was like, I never, I hardly ever do that. But it was like, this is my moment. I'm going to do what I want. So I literally ate like a whole box of brownies. I mean, throughout, not just in one sitting, but like throughout the next 4 hours. And I hadn't eaten much that day. So, I was pretty hungry, but anyways, so yeah, and so it just made it even like that much better to have the brownies there, like my favorite food. And then I remember, like I got up to go to the bathroom, and everybody was asleep at this point. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and the moon was huge. And I remember looking out the window, and I was like, "Oh my God, it looks so beautiful!" Like at that point, like there was not one fear in my body, like nothing was scaring me. And I remember I wanted to go outside, but I didn't, because I was just like, oh, like I don't know. Like I was thinking about mosquitoes, and I was like, I don't want to end up with a bunch of mosquito bites tomorrow morning. So I went back up to my room. I opened my window, which you can see like everything. It's really really open, and so I like was just looking at the night, and then the meditation music was playing in the background, and it was just the most peaceful thing I've ever felt in my life. And then at some point, I remember writing in a journal because I felt that good. Like I never feel good enough that I actually want to write like a journal entry. So I did though, and I remember writing about like I did write to my twin flame actually, and I just wrote like, wow, like this was such an amazing experience. I wish like I could share it with you, but something that made it so beautiful was that I had it by myself. And I remember thinking that like I haven't had a fun memory by myself in a really long time. Like the last, it's always involving friends, or like, fun wild nights, like sneaking out, or like going, I don't know, going to bars and then something fun happens. Like I have a bunch of memories like that, but I haven't felt a fun, just like amazing feeling by myself in a really long time. And so I was like, when I wrote it down, I remember writing like the best part about this is that it reminds me of how good I felt when I was with you. But the best part is that I'm not with you. Like, I know that I can feel this by myself too. And I think it's because for a long time I felt like, am I ever going to feel those good feelings again? And I felt it from the spiritual trip. So, pretty much, I just enjoyed it for the rest of the hours that it lasted. And yeah, that was that was the peaceful state that I got. Like, I just can't explain it. It's just that's it was I can't do it justice by explaining it in words. If only I could like give you guys the feeling of how I felt, you would understand how amazing it was and why it was the best night of my life. But yeah, so that pretty much like wraps up the experience that I had. It really did bring me a lasting feeling even afterwards. Like since then, I have been able to like go back to that. Like I know what that euphoria feels like. I know now what it feels like to be at a very high vibration. Sorry, that's why my hands up. But at like a super high vibration with the universe that I have been striving to get to for such a long time. And I've tasted like little, inches of it, but I've never fully been there. And nothing in the time that I was obviously tripping, nothing could stop me or bring me down. Like I was permanently at that high frequency. And that's why it was so great. Like even looking, like I said, I tried triggering myself just to test it out. Nothing was triggering me. It's like I was completely whole. And that's what I think it takes to get to that frequency. It's like being so okay and happy with yourself, and not even happy. Happy isn't a good word because happiness is temporary. Peace, inner peace, is what we should strive to feel, because then you're always at peace with yourself. You always feel that sense of like knowing you're good enough, knowing you're good in general with what you have, like you're appreciative. And since then, like I said, it taught me to appreciate and be grateful for the friends and family I have. Like I really do have all I need. I don't know why I was feeling so lonely before. Like I have myself first and foremost. Like that's what it allowed me to feel. Like I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy that I'm pure and sweet. I'm happy that I'm not lost, which I was thinking that I needed to be, even though I didn't know they were lost. But yeah, and like that's what I strive to feel now all the time. And it really helped me get closer to feeling that more permanently. Because that's what I'm striving to feel all the time, like that inner peace, knowing and feeling how good I am. And that, everything else is just extra. Like your friends, your family, like we may not have the best relationships, but what we have, as long as we like nurture it and stuff, like it's enough. But the main thing comes back to you being happy with yourself or at peace with yourself. Like overall acceptance for not having the answers, understanding that there are people that I can help heal, but everyone is not for me to heal. Like there are certain people that are just not meant for you to, to help heal. And so, yeah, that's the acceptance and the lessons that I got from it. But overall, I'm just trying to, get back to that peaceful state as much as I can. I am a lot closer now. I can feel like I'm at a higher vibration for sure because of it. Obviously, not as high as I was in that moment, but that is what I strive to get to. And I'm becoming more balanced as a person. And even though things have knocked me out since then, I mean, it's already September, so it's been a full month since this trip. But even though things have knocked me out of balance, I'm very quick to get back to a good vibration and to not let things like trigger me so much, and understand what is triggering me and still continue to like work on that, do more personal self, healing work. Yeah, so that is the experience that I had. Message me or comment below, like if you have any questions. Let me know what you guys think. But I'm sorry if this was all over the place and if it just sounds completely crazy. Like I said, it's really hard to do it justice with words. Like I wish I could just send you the feelings that I felt. But yeah, just let me know if you guys have any positive feedback. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. And as always, peace, love, and soul vibes.